Do me a favor here. Take a look at this Delaware driver's license and tell me what you see. Now, if you said, other than the standard stuff, the heart there within the green star, you're right on the money.
Yeah, the person on this sample driver's license has elected to be an organ donor. There are people who are looking right now for organ donations because they're in a life or death wait for a transplant.
Just listen to these numbers. According to organdonor.gov, someone is added to the waiting list every 10 minutes. Every day, an average of 79 people receive organ transplants, but still, studies show about 18 people die each day waiting for their transplant. There's just not enough donors.
Organ donation isn't just a symbol on a license of what's to be done if you die in a car crash. Living organ donations can also be made, but there are a few myths when it comes to organ donation. One of them, if I agree to donate my organs, the hospital staff won't work as hard to save my life. Well, the truth is, medical workers' first priority is to save lives and help those who are sick or injured. The American Transplant Foundation says organ donation isn't even discussed until after someone dies.
Another myth. There are certain things that can keep you from being an organ donor, such as age, illness, or physical defect. The truth is, according to the foundation, each donor's medical condition is evaluated at the time of death. Even if you have a disease, you're still encouraged to become a donor.
And we've heard so many success stories, it's just too important not to. Like the story of Tony and Julie Kleppinger. Tony was diagnosed with a rare disease. Without a kidney from a living donor, he likely would have died. So Julie got tested. She was a match, and the rest is history.
There's an organ that was in my body, so yeah, that definitely has grown us closer.
She definitely likes to hold it over my head too. So
I try, but it doesn't usually work.
Both Tony and Julie say they feel healthy and back to normal. They're busy with their 2 young daughters and training for their next triathlon.
Wow. Then there's the story of 2 teenagers who both received kidney transplants on the same night and bonded at the hospital. As a matter of fact, the teens got along so well, they were each other's date at the prom. And to top that story off, their parents believe the teenagers received the kidneys from the same donor.
How about that? And Jimmy, probably one of the most notable success stories is that of Chuck Campbell here locally. We learned about the Milford man's story 4 years ago. Chuck suffered from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD, and needed a double lung transplant. His insurance company would only pay for $80,000 of the $1 million surgery. With the help from the Delmarva community and an appearance on the Bonnie Hunt Show, which garnered an anonymous donation, Chuck was able to raise the money needed and get his transplant.
I mean, there's pretty much nothing that I can't do that I couldn't do before my transplant. The daily reminder is when I'm taking a shower and I see the scar. Other than that, there's no physical feelings, nothing.
Chuck says his COPD was a result of more than 20 years of smoking cigarettes, but he says every breath now is literally a blessing.
Chuck is certainly not the only success story here on Delmarva. Just last spring, WBOC shared with you the story of a Milford woman in desperate need of a kidney transplant. Nadine Holliger had polycystic kidney disease, which is a life-threatening genetic disorder.
Nadine had a willing donor, but she wasn't a match, so her search continued. And joining us today to tell us where Nadine's story left off is WBOC's Kent County Bureau Chief, Michael Chesney.
Good afternoon, guys.
What amazing this story. A perfect match, or I mean a willing donor, but not a perfect match.
Yeah, and that happens, as you might imagine, a lot. A lot of people willing to donate, but finding a match, and especially in Nadine's case, her blood type was making it really, really difficult to find somebody that she knew and was also willing to and able to give her a kidney.
Okay, so a paired exchange came into play. What is a paired exchange?
Okay, now in preparation for this question, I decided a little demonstration might help. So what I've done, and we hopefully come out to a 3-shot, is Lisa, I'm going to give you those. I'm going to give you those, Jimmy,
okay. And
I've got these. So I'm going to show them to the camera. We have a 7 of spades, a ace of diamonds, and the king of clubs, and we've all got different ones. So we've all got donors and recipients who don't match, all right? But if we take all of our cards and this donor goes to Lisa,
okay, I see what you're
that donor, the ace of diamonds, goes to Jimmy, and this donor goes to me. Now we have a bunch of people who were sick and now have matches, and this is what paired exchange is.
Okay.
So how did this process work for Nadine?
All right, the photo you're seeing right now is her with her, not her donor, but the person who's willing to donate for her. And you're seeing them both in this photo. This is part of the group that all ended up doing the paired exchange together, coming from a couple of people in California, people here in Delaware, person in the Midwest, and the system matched them all together anonymously, effectively, and then kidneys were sent flying across the country.
So she essentially got her transplant.
She absolutely, not even essentially, she absolutely did get her
Yeah.
transplant and has been, she tells me, about 8 months or so, and is doing night and day, is how she described it.
So you said anonymously, so people don't always get to know the donors and recipients, but that wasn't the case here.
Yeah, they're given the opportunity to send a letter, a thank you letter, something like that, if they want. But for a number of reasons, it's kept anonymous to begin with. And there's no guarantee if you send a letter that you're going to get a reply even.
Right, right.
And so sometimes it happens. Happened here.
Now, this is not a new thing, but this story, Nadine's story, is a very special one.
Yeah, and you kind of got a little bit of a hint on it when you saw those photos, why this really is a little bit more special version of a paired exchange. But of course, if I said any more, you'd have no reason to tune in tonight at 11 to watch. So there was an event that I was able to get video of and to be a part of that we'll get to share tonight.
All right, and you can watch Michael's story, The Kidney Connection. That's tonight on the WBOC News at 11. Thank you so much. Well, one connection you want to avoid is that of an identity thief getting their hands on your personal information.
Still ahead on Delmarva Live, find out how every move you make on social media may be giving the crooks exactly what they need to steal your identity and how you can avoid it.
And have you ever thought about what happens to your social media account, or any online account for that matter, once you or a loved one dies? You may be surprised to find out what you need to do to make sure everything is taken care of.
And we're also talking about your personal documents, the real paper stuff. Now that tax season is over, you were probably left with a whole lot of paperwork. Do you know what you really need to hang on to? You're going to find out what documents to keep and which ones you can toss. But first, it's certainly been a hot week. With weather like this, you want to make sure that you're staying hydrated. Dr. Oz has some advice.
Hi, I'm Dr. Oz. When it's hot and humid, your risk for dehydration goes up. Check your urine. If you're well hydrated, it should be a pale yellow. Drink 1 to 3 cups of water before any exercise. Sweating causes you to lose electrolytes, so consider coconut water. And avoid alcoholic beverages and coffee because they are diuretics.